You can swing that arm however you need to, or move your chair too if you need to. No problem.
I'll move it a little closer.
Just get yourself
I
comfy.
know y'all don't bite.
Yeah, you Gucci.
Cool, man.
Do you bite? Are you a biter?
Not with you guys.
Depends on.
But you're a lip biter?
Nah.
Yeah, me either.
Are you like even a?
Depends.
Do you guys like make out with girls?
Like in
like just in general, you mean like
yeah, well, obviously you and Paige,
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
do you guys like make out?
And the makeouts are usually short. Like typically, if we're making out, it's like, okay, we're having sex.
Yeah.
Like, do you and JoJo just make out? Like,
No, I
you
almost
just see you at like a random store and just
make
like,
tongue
out,
rarely comes out of my mouth. We do a lot of pet kissing. That's about it.
Yeah. So like, you're saying if you're making out, you're fucking too.
Yeah, like during sex, sure,
Yeah.
it gets a little more than pet kissing.
I mean,
but,
that's like foreplay, ain't it?
I guess so.
But
otherwise, though,
part
not
of it.
really.
I feel like in the past, the girls I made out with, though, they're lip biters. I'll lip bite back.
Sure, yeah, you got to play the game.
Yeah.
But
that's
it's
what
been
I
like
was
since high school, though. There's like the last time I
Yeah.
can think that like I made out with.
But
a
are you
chick,
letting them be
know?
like rougher with you on that, or like?
I've had my lips split before.
God
Yeah,
damn.
damn.
Yeah, and I squealed. I was like, I was like, and then I was like, fuck, I can't do that. But
Squealing, man, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I respect that though. I respect that though. I respect
It's
that.
okay. All right, let's start it off the right way. Sorry, that was random.
No, good.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Millennial Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Agnelli, here with my co-host, Peter Price, and our guest today,
Yep.
Ryan Bazil.
Yeah. Homie.
We just had a quick 5-minute conversation, which we'll probably put in at the
I'll
end
keep
because it was
that shit
pretty,
in
pretty fire. But Ryan, we met at the bar at 4 for our for our charity event in December for a nonprofit, and you were there, and the immediate energy I got from you, bro, was insane, man.
Appreciate that.
Just like a guy that I want to be friends with, and
I can say, like, me and you go back a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
It's like that every time the man
Yeah.
steps into the room.
those are the best people in the world, bro. That you're not necessarily like friends with, but like every time you see each other, you're like, damn, it's gonna be fun. You know?
good vibe.
Yeah, I mean, ever since like I met P, it was
Yeah.
literally just like you felt the energy, you felt the vibe.
That's right.
As soon as you get there and you're like, all right,
Yeah,
bet. Like you
yeah,
feel
yeah.
more comfortable automatically around that person. Like
Yeah, yeah.
even though we don't like
Yeah.
see each other on a daily basis, as soon as we do, it's just like
It's all
we
love.
never left. You know? It's all
Yeah,
love. It's all
for
love.
sure.
It's all love.
Would you say 1, 2, 3, and 4 are your main spots downtown?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I mean I promoted down there for a while.
Did you?
For like it's probably like 3 years ago, like 2018, I'd say,
Okay.
like 29 going into 2019.
What places were you working with then?
So I was working at Loft
Yeah.
at the time when Loft was like, personally, I think better at the time. Just
Yeah.
because we had a lot
Is
of my
Loft
boys.
still a thing?
Yeah, still a thing. It's just
Is that
it's
what-
not run by the same
Is that what
management.
Monarchy
What is Loft?
was?
It was what Monarchy was.
Was
Yeah, second
Monarchy,
floor
now
right
it's
there, right
Loft?
next to
So
pawn
like
shop, yeah.
upstairs where like Dr. Feelgood's used to be or pawn
Yeah,
shop used to be,
yeah.
above and just to the left.
Yep.
See, I think I've been to these places. I just didn't know I was at these places.
In high school, you probably I feel like went to it as Monarchy.
Probably,
when we were in
yeah,
high
yeah,
school.
Yeah, it was like that when like we had Sugars down here in Palm Beach Gardens. Sugars was like a club that they had in Gardens right by the
Really?
Damn, I
Yeah.
don't remember
Yeah.
that.
Doesn't
Huh.
even know. Yeah. And and that was right before, like, that was when Monarchy was a thing, and it was huge. They always had artists like Young
What year
Jeezy
did
and
Loft
stuff.
become a thing?
Probably back around like 16, 17,
Okay,
I'd say.
yeah.
But I didn't get there until like 18 or so, and it was just run by different management. But now all that's been moved on, and that kind of if we get into that
Yeah.
whole like the whole race theory and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
we'll talk about that. 'cause
Okay.
it's definitely been interesting.
Now, what did promoting mean to you? Was it a way to network? Was it just good money? Like, what did it mean to you?
It was definitely a way to network, I'd say. Like for me, I mean, I'm a very open person.
Yeah.
I'm like a social butterfly, I'd
Yeah.
say anyways. So like for me, it's always been easy for me to meet people, talk to people, meet
Yeah.
someone new.
How'd you get
and
into
relate.
that gig to begin with?
Yeah, so like I knew this guy named Aaron, who was actually one of the managers and promoters at the time at Sugars.
Yep.
And I met him over at the time, and he was like, hey, you want to just like start doing some promotion for here? Like I was looking for something to do on the weekends just to kill some time. While
Is
I was,
that Myers Lounge, Aaron?
yeah, Miles.
Same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miles. His last name is like.
Yeah, I was
impossible to
gonna
say.
try it, but
You
I didn't
know,
want to
so like I was
it.
just like, I'll say that. Yeah, Bald Aaron, I'd say that.
Bald Aaron, yeah.
Yeah,
Shout
yeah,
out
so,
to you, bro.
Yeah, man, hell yeah, shout out, man. But yeah, he brought me on, and then I also met up with Maudi, who is one of the promoters at Canella, and also at Myers as well. He's the one that pretty much co-does it with Aaron.
Okay.
And we started like something really good there. It was kind of crazy because I started off just on the street, like just like giving out cards and stuff like that. And then it kind of became like more like, hey, you're bringing in like a lot of people and stuff like that. Let's bring you like inside to like do VIP stuff because you're getting a lot of tables and people just want to buy stuff. So started doing that after like a few months in, and then it became really, really good. We were having like such a diverse like crowd of people. I mean, like Latino, you have black, you have white people. And it was just like the music was so good that I thought, yo, this is going to be like the spot.
How'd you get your foot in the door though, like to first start getting paid to promote something? Like how, were you already in the hospitality industry? Like were you?
No,
I
just
were
asked,
a person that knew a lot of people?
Yeah, I grew up here, born and raised in West Palm. So like,
where'd you go to high school?
I went to Boynton High, actually, Boynton Beach High School. Which is a crazy story in and of itself because I'm from Royal Palm Beach, so people think I went to Royal Palm High School because it's the closest. But I was in a specific program there, which is why I ended up going to Boynton.
Okay, how's that school, Boynton? Is it a good school?
When I first got there, it was pretty bad.
Really?
Like, as low as you can go for like ranking of high school.
Really?
I mean, it's pretty much in the hood, I'd say, of like the area of Boynton, right on the west sides of the tracks. But you know, after I'd say like the first like year or so, we got like a new principal, and it really like became a lot more steady in terms of like our school was going in the right direction. It wasn't just like a shit show everywhere. And I was in an aviation program there.
Okay.
You know, cause that ties to what like I do now. But that's the only reason I was really there, and I just got caught, ended up falling in love with it. Got caught up in sports and started playing sports, and then that went well, and then graduated, and
what sports were you playing in high school?
Soccer.
Did you ever like think that you had a future with that, or
I
wanted to
played
do
my
that
whole life. I played soccer since I was like 3 years old.
Did you really?
Yeah.
No shit.
My whole background growing up with soccer, travel soccer, traveled everywhere with soccer. A lot of my friends, like some of my best friends, are playing professionally right now, and it's kind of cool to see their success, you know, from here. A lot of people don't really talk about it or know, but it was more underlining. But I mean, I loved it, grew up with it. I mean, that really got me to travel as much as I could, and that's why I fell in love with really traveling as well. So,
when did that come to an end for you?
After college, I played 2 years, and then kind of fell out of love with it just because there was just a lot of uncertainty with going to the next level, and I wanted to have a backup plan. So like I was like, you know what, I'd rather have like that security blanket because you know, seeing how like all my other friends, like some are not getting injured and then they don't have a backup plan. Right. I don't want to be that person. I've always been hard headed when I was growing up, so I'm like, now I'm too old for this. Now
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach.
Oh, okay.
It's right like on the Daytona 500 track. Like that. There's a international like airport right behind it. That's like our airport. Like Daytona's school. I went there for 4 years for aeronautics. Was a major in aeronautics and a double minor in unmanned aircraft systems and homeland security. Okay. So I did that for 4 years. Ended up graduating like a year early.
So you're a rocket scientist? What does that mean?
No, man.
So talk to us about what you do now. What was all that school for?
So that was for what I do now, which is like I work with Florida Power and Light. And I work in our IT or like information technology division, doing like nuclear drone and robotics testing. So, you know, kind of like what I can tell you about that is that we really like I personally do
like some FBI shit.
No.
You got government clearance or something?
I really gotta like just because I mean, you know, nuclear is very highly guarded as like any, you know, government state would be like that but like I pretty much do inspections with the drones and robotics themselves, like interior and exterior inspections to look for like weaknesses and like stuff like that within like at the site. So they like, you know, we have a couple down here and a couple up north, and I travel and they send me there to do inspections with you know,
a drone.
Yeah, with a drone, and then with I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Boston Dynamics Spot robot, like the yellow robotic dog. That's
like it looks like a robot dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like yellow and
they take bombs with it and shit. No,
no, it has like an arm too.
Oh, okay.
We were on Jimmy Kimmel like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm one of the pilots for that, and we work with those robots and like do inspections and stuff. So
you have the sickest job.
Been doing that for like 2 years.
Do you wear
like
VR goggles?
No, I don't. Like, well, when I do drone work sometimes, but not with like with the robot. But
you know how to fly a sick drone, bro?
Yeah, love flying drones. I've been flying drones forever. On the side, I do like videography with drones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just for like, you know, fun money stuff. But, you know,
so
it's a hobby.
when you said like this, when you were in school, in high school and even in college, it was all to kind of get you this job that you have now. But like when you were in high school, like what was the vision? Like what was the job that you wanted when you graduated? Was it this?
No, it wasn't at all. Never saw myself in nuclear power. Never saw myself doing
what
exactly
was your
what I
goal
wanted
at that
to.
time?
Yeah, I mean at that time. obviously it was still for me to try and go pro, so I was really playing soccer at that time. But if I had a backup plan, since I was in the program, it would have just been to become like a pilot, like either like a jet pilot, like a private pilot like that. I didn't want to fly commercial, like kind of like the same thing Mike Wise and
sure, yeah.
So that was kind of my goal, but I still had an uncertainty in college. I mean,
and where'd like the IT aspect come in?
Yeah, that happened when I got to college. I took like an IT gig, like just for some money that was paying really good during the years, my like sophomore year and junior year, and I was like, damn, I like working with computers and like this shit's really like.
Was that stuff you were into as a kid too?
Yeah, I was really handsy. Like I was always building stuff as a kid and stuff. Just like toy cars and stuff like that, or like any kind of like stuff from scratch. So I kind of fell in love with it and then started working there, and I worked there till the end of college, and that kind of brought the IT aspect. And then after I graduated, I was like, how can I incorporate like, that with, my majors and kind of like the things I really love to do, because I've always told myself, like, if I'm going to do something, I don't want to be like half-assed about it in terms of like, I don't want to feel like, like, damn, this is too much. Like, I don't like this no more. Like, it's something like I really have to have a passion for.
Yeah. Always use your whole ass.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like, if I'm going to find, like, I want to find a job, a gig, something that's going to be exactly like, what I went to college for.
And it sounds like you got the perfect job with the combination of flying and technology. You're flying robots.
He hit the jackpot.
You got the perfect job.
I think about it as like, I just kind of fell into it because I never like, it was always one step in, but then like kind of just continuing to nag the hell out of people and kind of just like wanting to get there because I knew like I had the credentials, I had the skills to be there, but it just depended on people really giving me like a shot, because obviously when you come out of college, no one has experience really with, these kind of positions and stuff. And, the fact that now I'm able to be where I am like 2 years in to the company is kind of like crazy to me, because it's just a blessing. Yeah.
So don't take this the wrong way. And Nick, I'm sorry I keep jumping in.
No, I love these questions.
But I'm curious, like, dude, you're such a cool guy, and, see you out on the weekends, you hang out downtown, you've got a lot of friends, obviously, everyone knows you.
Does it seem like a nerdy job? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, do you find other people like yourself that you work with? Yeah.
All the time.
Dude, I feel like nerdy people are the craziest, funnest people.
I mean, I have a group chat of like 25 of us that work at the same company that I work at that are my age, that we all go out in Clematis, sometimes we all hang out.
Yeah.
It's literally like the best thing, because like that's a part of the networking too, but the part of also being a person that really likes to multitask and doesn't really care. Like, I don't look at skin color, I don't look at, that type of stuff when it comes to being, real close to people or knowing somebody. Like, so I have various groups of like what I'd call friends. Like I've got redneck friends, I've got ghetto friends, I've got, like Latino friends, Asian friends. Like, and I never really thought about it until like recently when people were asking me like, damn, like, everybody, I was just like, it's not even like that where like I'm hanging out with everyone every day, but like my presence is always around, or they always around my presence, just because, I don't know, it's just an energy thing. I feel like, I honestly like don't have any, like never had any like beef with anybody, never like any, because I've never been a person for negative vibes. So like it's kind of just, I go with it and it kind of just attracts, your vibe. Like they say, your vibe attracts your tribe. So it's kind of just like kind of been like that for me.
And it's crazy because what we called quote unquote nerdy as kids is literally like most industries right now, like the nerdy kid was the kid at home playing Xbox all day. Now he's the multi-million-dollar streamer. It's like these people, like IT tech jobs and sales jobs are like the most expensive things on the market right now. Like
it was also like, it's like such a dumb logic, but I can remember being in school, like middle school, elementary school even, and like being smart wasn't cool.
True.
And now it's like, if you're a dumbass, like that's not cool.
And it's crazy to see how that happens too, because I remember that vividly. I mean, I feel like I'm 25, so like I feel like when I was growing up, like, I had the flip phone, I had like stuff like that. We were on the very end of like everything, like AOL and goddamn like MySpace. So it's kind of crazy to see transitions over, and then you see people acting like that. It's kind of like weird. Like, why do you act like what causes the brain, like what causes you to see it that way compared to like what we used to?
I think college was the jump where I really recognized that people were less judgy than high school, because as a person that goes to elementary, middle, then high school, most of the time with the same ish people have status and they have the popularity and they have those things that don't really carry on with you to college.
Right. It's almost like leveling the playing field.
100,000%.
You don't have any clout when you arrive in this new town.
And for a lot of people, like some of the popular kids in high school, I knew it crushed them when they would go places and no one really gave a shit anymore.
Right. Or even like if you think about some of the hottest girls that were like in our high school.
Correct.
They're not necessarily like the hottest girls that you know today.
Correct.
You know?
And it's crazy that
no one
happens.
talks about that.
It's crazy that happens. No one wants to accept it.
That's true.
It is crazy because the opposites just switched.
Yeah.
Like literally, like people
the
that
cute girls in high school are
working at McDonald's or something right now.
Yeah.
Like it happens like that, and people don't realize it more. But the thing is, when I came back here, because I mean, I went away for 5 years, so it was like I fell out of touch with everyone here in West Palm and wherever we were at. And so coming back here was like brand new. Like, I just wanted to go downtown to see who was down. He was still around, trying to reconnect, and that's kind of how I reconnected again with everyone. But I found more people just like accustomed to my vibe. Like, I don't consider what I do nerdy at all.
Yeah,
like I could
even when you say the job title out loud. What do you do for work? Say what you do again.
FPL.
Nah, like it's funny.
Don't ask me.
Well, you say FPL and people just think, I'm going to like work a power line and turn someone's power on. People don't realize this company is freaking massive. Yeah. Like we're the 4th largest company in America. Yeah. So like you got to think about like all of that. So I didn't realize that until that. So when I got this gig and like when I tell people my long ass title, like, I work as a nuclear drone and robotic specialist. Like that's just like
that's like 5 syllables. That's 5 words.
But I just call I'm just an IT technology specialist. Like that's my short thing, or like if I'm on LinkedIn, that's my like thing. But like people know it as that because people are like, I never knew like you did that. I'm like, you never asked. Like I don't just go out and I'm just tell people what I do.
Flexing your title.
But if you ask me,
I would get a shirt that says that, honestly.
You know what I mean? But if you ask me,
I'm
gonna tell you, I'm an open book, and I tell people this all the time. Like I've had the deepest conversations with people, and I'm just like, look, you ask me anything, and I will answer it to like as best as I can. But like, if you don't say anything to me or you don't communicate with me, like, what do you expect? You know what I mean? So like, that's what I'm at.
I would just say it's classified. What do you do for a living? It's classified.
Couldn't tell you.
Come on, I'm telling you.
Nah, man, it's just. Right now I'm just chilling, man. It's just a blessing.
I love it, man. Well, it's cool how humble you are for the position that you're in at your age.
You're a fucking fire person, and like you said, humble but also wise for your age. I think it's incredible.
I think for me, I grew up around a lot of old heads too.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah.
I mean, my family's like Caribbean, like family's very old school. Like I'm very old school, so like I grew up on that. So like, and unconditional love, like respect, stuff like that, like showing to everybody, like that's kind of how I still live my life. And obviously that's not the way the world really is like right now, unfortunately, but that's how I continue to live my life. Sure. So, there's those bridges and gaps and stuff you have to kind of like get accustomed to, but I'm, that's never going to keep me from being like continuing to be who I'm, who I am. So
I love that.
Last question about the whole partying thing. You ever partied in Daytona before, where he went to
No.
Bro, let's not go there.
I went to spring break there one time.
Did you know?
Okay, I'll tell this and let me know if
is that where spring weekend is?
Spring weekend's on the West Coast, Panama City. I think Panama City.
That's right.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
I went there on a spring break. This is freshman spring break at college, so you're in the pinnacle of, oh my god, let's just get blacked out 3 nights in a row.
Yes.
And we went there, and it was shitty weather. I'll say that, but dude, it was like dirty. Like grimy, like for a college kid, like it wasn't too bad, but like it was like if I was my age, I'd say no fucking way.
Yeah, that's why they call Daytona the Dirty D.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Like for real though.
And like there was a strip club right next to like a college bar, like it was.
You were probably on what's called Seabreeze, and there's like places called Razzles.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
Razzles is probably the most ratchet club in the world.
Is it like a college town?
Oh, it's a college.
There?
It is, because you got Embry-Riddle, but you also have Stetson University that's only like 25, 30 minutes away. Okay. Which is a bigger college. And then you have Bethune-Cookman, which is right there as well. Okay. So it's like a triangle, and then it's just Daytona Beach. So like people come there. I mean, Daytona Beach is where everything happens, every event. So Truck Week, Bike Week, National Cheerleading.
I was about to say that.
National Cheerleading Month. Yeah, like it's a dope vibe.
Do they have Greek life at your school?
Yeah.
Did you participate?
I was.
Yeah. What was your thing?
On Pike.
Oh, okay, man.
Yeah. Love it.
Man.
You didn't do any of that, did you?
No. So I went to community college and then I just dropped out. So okay. But I probably it's easy for me to say like, no, I wouldn't. I probably would have tried, and I would have known off the jump like whether I liked the vibe or not. Yeah. The thing about it is, we went up to Orlando. My buddies went to UCF. I just went to community college, but we had like a group of like 7 or 8 guys. So we didn't really need, none of us joined frats, but we didn't really need it because we we were rolling 7 or 8 deep every time we went somewhere, you know. So
I never saw myself joining one, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
Well, especially at my school, because my school was like a normal, like, you know, like UCF or like FSU or whatever like that. So it was considered more of a nerdy school, but like our Greek life was still a social Greek fraternities and sororities, so the same as other schools. And I've been to other schools with my fraternity, and it's just smaller. But like for me, if I didn't join where like Pike, I wouldn't be where I am in terms of like the connections that I made, like the networking. Like our president, like my president during when I was there now works for like the Kennedy Space, like NASA, Kennedy Space Center, like doing like rocket launches for SpaceX. Like I'm
holy shit.
So his experience like trickles down.
Yeah, right.
He's giving you information, you interviews, you like internship opportunities and stuff, and telling you about it. So I had to take that opportunity, and I was 100%. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So that's really the only reason that I kind of joined, as bad as it sounds, but like. I mean, I joined it for the opportunity to network and just see where it can go.
I remember I knew a lot of douchebags in frat life, and I knew a lot of great guys in frat life. And I think that was kind of part of the college experience as well. Is like for the first time, you really just, for me at least, I was just taking people as they were. You know, like if you're an asshole to me, you're an asshole. That comes in every condition possible.
Yeah. You got any crazy like hazing stories?
Not like a UF or like FSU. Yeah. Like, I mean, honestly, I don't think we did anything like mad crazy, because when I was there, it was like really in like the peak of like all of the craziness with people like were dying and stuff.
Oh, so they were
so our IFC, like our fraternal council, was like on everybody. Like they did some like stuff, but it wasn't nothing I would consider like even hazing, really. That what you hear about.
No. My roommates, so I went to school in Tallahassee for only like 2 semesters. But my roommates rushed Phi Sig, and I remember just watching them, like either seeing them come home and like the condition they came home in, or like telling me the stories of what they just had to do that night, and just thinking like, why the fuck are you doing this?
No,
and they were paying like $2,000 a month or something crazy.
Yeah, no, that's at FSU is $2,000 for that Pike up there. It's like $2,000 a semester there. Yeah, for us it was way cheaper. For that, I wouldn't have. Honestly, I mean, I didn't have $2,000.
That's what did it for me.
It was a mansion. They had the biggest house. They had the biggest house in the country at the time, because it was just a mansion. Like it made no sense. $2,000 per person. Like it was insane. To keep up with that.
The Pike House in Tallahassee is pretty nuts.
That's what I'm saying. But you have so much funding from like, I mean, there's a lot of people that you don't know are Pikes.
That's the complex I got arrested in. I went to jail from the Pike House.
I mean, like Kenny Chesney, like Scott Van Pelt from ESPN, like bro, literally like Bobby Bowden's a Pike. Like you, like so many people are Pikes that you don't know, and they all throw money at. Like that's why, and they all went to FSU, so that's why FSU is like crazy killer. But yeah, that was fun. Nuts. You know, I missed it, but
that was fun.
Yeah, man, that was good shit.
I feel like it's one of those things too, where like if you didn't do it, you might have like some FOMO, wishing like you know, wondering what you missed out on.
I had a friend who went through like the recruitment part and sometimes regrets not doing it because all the connections you make. And even though you won't be like best friends with some of those guys, like it's about people you know, and that person might be running a company in 10 years, which is a nice thing to know.
I still maintain. I mean. Probably like Facebook or something. Like I still follow, like maintain like close connections with some of them. Obviously like my big, my little, and then some of my other brothers that I still keep in contact with that still live in Florida. So I see them, but yeah, I mean you kind of fall out of it sometimes with them, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean you have a forever brotherhood, so it's cool.
I want to bring it back to like childhood and the way you were raised. So you said you were born and raised in Royal Palm.
Yeah.
And what part of Royal Palm were you born and raised in?
Oh, Royal Palm is like around like Crestwood. Like I live in Madison Green.
Okay.
So it's like by Loxahatchee, Anchorage, and that kind
of
area. Out west, So I grew up there. I was born at Good Samaritan Hospital.
Me too.
Really?
There you go. Yeah, my mom worked there for a while, for like 35 years, and then like I was, and then we moved to Royal Palm. But yeah, loved it. Like.
Was there money out there at the time, or was it a middle class area? Where
it's pretty. I mean, I would say it was a pretty middle class area. It's always been kind of this. I mean, obviously now it's kind of built up a little bit more, but it was more land and stuff out there because a lot of like natural, like nature, like in conservative space and stuff. But yeah, middle class area, I'd say. Because
the reason I ask is when you talked about your high school experience, you said it was in a very low income area and whatnot, which. I like to, and this is going to go to the whole race thing and everything like that. I like to talk to you about, you've done so amazing for yourself. And CRT, critical race theory, is something that's getting talked about a lot. Do you have any?
No.
Okay, so CRT is something that's being debated a lot because it's critical race theory. And the premise, the argument on both sides is, do you tell kids in elementary, middle, and high school and teach the history that in a simplified case, white man was a slave owner and he was bad to the black race, and that's the truth. That's what happened. But it makes supposedly the white kids feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And the white kids are saying now the black kids are feeling oppressed because they're being told that for 250 years they were slaves. That's the way I receive it. And I'm not saying what side of it I'm on.
Sure, yeah.
But that's
what CRT is.
That's basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's basically kind of the thought behind it is, do you tell people the true history? On one side, some kids or parents are arguing, well, you're making my white kid feel uncomfortable because you're telling him that he was a slave owner for 200 years. Right. On the other side, you have parents saying, well, how are you not going to teach our kids history if that was the truth? Right. And then the other argument to that is, but you're also telling a whole minority of people or majority that they are getting a bad hand off jump.
Right. And also maybe implanting bad thoughts in some of the kids' heads that would otherwise not like have had those thoughts themselves.
Correct.
Okay, so I think personally that there's so many different layers to this in terms of people understanding. I think personally that why wouldn't you want to know the truth? Yeah. Like, wouldn't you? Why? Even though we could be years and years on later, why wouldn't you want to know the truth? Everybody knows the truth of what happened to Native Americans.
Correct.
Everyone knows the truth about what happened to Jews, Nazis.
Right.
Everyone knows about that.
Yeah.
So why is
this a different
why
situation?
Is this a different situation in terms of why can't anybody accept what has happened? And
because it should be the same argument for the Holocaust, I guess. We shouldn't be able to talk about Hitler and the Holocaust without all the Jewish kids then feeling uncomfortable after.
The difference between that is no one's ever saying, oh, that kid's anti-Semitic, he doesn't like Jews. All the time people are saying that person's racist. It's much more in today's society, the race conversation over
it's
anti-Semitic.
Not like a characteristic.
Yeah, correct.
But I mean, when it comes to white people or like white folks trying to understand, I think personally, like especially in like the day and age that we have going on right now, I think it's more important than ever to understand history, to understand truly what is going on, because in order for us to
not make the same fuck up.
Yeah, not even that, but like to move on, and kind of move past and understand and kind of say, hey, we want to bring ourselves, because we preach every day that we want to come together as one. We preach this every day. But what's keeping us from getting there to understanding each other as one is that comes back to that word, understanding. Understanding that, look, I'm not today, like a white person today, I'm not calling a white person today. I'm not saying, hey, you're responsible for what happened 400 years
Sure,
ago.
yeah.
That's unfair to you.
Yeah.
It's unfair to anyone to, accuse them of something that happened a long time ago that they weren't present for.
Yeah. Right.
But for them to understand that, look, this is tied to your culture, to your history, to understand like that you have a certain stigma, certain things happened, you have a certain stigma, your culture is known for a certain thing.
Right.
Now, it's up to you whether you want to change that or you want for yourself, for the better for yourself, and every day try to make someone better, or continue to pass on what has been passed on forever.
Right.
All the points you're making all of them are correct. Not like just one of them. All of them are correct. What you had said there in one sentence there is letting them know what their societal expectations of them are. Yeah. What I'm saying is it's being laid down to them in the third grade. Yeah. So that's my kicker to that is, and I don't think there's an answer that tells you and provides you history, but also doesn't make one kid feel oppressed and one kid feel suppressed. But it's hard for me because we all have rational minds as well. Imagine someone, let's just say a black kid raised in a low-income community, and now he's 18 or 19 years old, and he got fired from his job, and he's saying, why the fuck did the world put me in this position? I don't have, white privilege money. I don't have this. I don't have that. And it all diverts back to, I guess, his perception of himself from such a young age. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I don't worry about. Again, I'm empathetic to, but I can never understand what it feels like to be a black man or woman in this country. Sure. I can only say from my non-biased eyes what I think would be encourage and decourage right and wrong actions in people.
Do you have a suggestion?
I don't know if there's a correct suggestion because
is your conflict at the moment that you think it's just being introduced at too young of an age?
Then there would be the argument to that of, well, you can't tell a kid in high school that slavery happened because his mind's gonna be blown, you know. But I guess my thing would be, or the only thing I could possibly think of is, when explaining it, look at the kids in the eyes and say, this is history, but right now in our America, I believe that you can do whatever you want to do if you want it bad enough.
I know, I agree.
Yeah, maybe just change
I
the
also
conversation.
do think when it comes back to you talking about either being too young for, talking about that with whether you're 3-year-olds or your kids, whatever, I think it really is more of a generational, like, that needs to come from home.
Yeah.
That's not the teachers. Your teachers.
As a parent, you have to explain to your
child.
child.
To teach you the basics of their school to get you to pass. When it comes to theories such as this, you were born from a line that you probably don't know much about. Yeah. Your parents, I knew about racism. I knew about slavery. I knew about that stuff from a very young age. Yeah. My dad would show me, like, I would watch movies. Like, I would watch movies. Like, I watched Roots when I was very young. I watched, all those kind of movies, like, when I was very young. And it wasn't, like, a traumatic experience to me. It was, like, I felt like I was learning. Like, I was in school. That was school to me because I truly felt like it's a little bit different for me to understand how an African American makes his way through everyday life.
Did your parents still put it in a perspective of, I want to teach you this so you could see your ancestry? Also, though, son, you could do whatever the hell you want in this world.
More so, like, I want to show you your history and, like, you can do whatever you want, but just know
this is what happened.
This is what you have to live with. Yeah. Like, this is not going away in terms of, like, you will experience some form of some kind of racism, whichever may be in your life, whether it's with work, whether it's just personally, whatever.
Yeah. But do you think there's any steps that could be taken, and I'm just saying this for the conversation, do you think that they're maybe changing some of those things either in the schooling system or the way that conversation's had could change that from being the case of, like, maybe there's a generation 50 years in the future where they don't ever have to experience racism?
Yeah, I think.
But maybe, like, we're keeping it relevant because we continue to teach it in a certain way.
Yeah, obviously keeping it, that's a good question. Yeah. Obviously keeping it relevant, keeping it going is continuing to, just douse.
It's always there.
Because it's always going to be talked about.
Yeah.
It's hard to think that there will be a day where it's not talked about because too much has happened.
Right. And I can almost see it being, like, offensive for it to eventually not be talked about. Well, how are we just going to sweep it under the rug? It was a big deal.
It's kind of crazy that with the titty-tat culture that we have now, we can't have the discussion that I maybe could have had openly 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. Some of the things we can't even say without being, canceled.
Yeah, right.
Something that we used to say not, like, literally 10 years ago, which is crazy to me. So it's kind of like, thinking about how it's going, how fast it's come to this, what is it going to be 50 years down the road? Yeah. How titty tap will we even be able to say the word racism?
Right.
In, like, 10.
Have you seen everything going on with Joe Rogan right now?
That's the next question I was just about to bring up.
I read that this morning.
And did you see his video, like, his public
apology?
Yeah. Do you have any opinion?
It hurts me because I listen to Joe Rogan and I could tell he's like us in the fact that he does not give a shit what your past is from. Yeah. And I think his listeners truly know that. It's also scary to your sensing. I think what you're basically saying is how sensitive the world is getting and how you want to know how to fix this shit, have conversations like this, because this is never done.
But, it doesn't, and I still respect Joe Rogan. I understand. I've been watching Joe Rogan since UFC. I'm a big UFC fan, so I've been watching that for a while. And I think he's always been a controversial character just because of the way how open he is.
Yeah, right.
He's known to, like, do shrooms on this like thing and be crazy with people and have fun and just talk crazy shit no matter who's on. And it's that no care mentality that I think kind of got him in that situation where maybe he didn't feel like he really did something wrong. Right. And, look, I accept his apology. I accept his apology. Like, I understand. Like, I don't hold no grudges to him because I don't think that he's a racist
Sure.
at all. And I understand that it's kind of like crazy because we consider the N-word. I mean, we say curse words and stuff all the time. When I was growing up, I just thought it was another bad curse word. I obviously didn't understand the history of the word until later on in life. It wasn't like any of these other words that we're saying. So it's kind of weird when you associate what, that really is. Do people really understand it?
Yeah.
Like, they just associate it with being something you don't want to say because it's considered racist. But do you really know what that word truly stands for, what it means? Like, that's why I think our culture, our race reacts the way we do when somebody that's not our race says it in kind of a careless way. Because to us, it means so much more.
It's not a careless thing to throw around.
Yeah. Is it appropriate, point blank, is it appropriate for a white person in today's society to say the N-word?
Under any circumstances?
I don't think that it's getting any better. I don't think it should be.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, and it was something that was thrown around very loosely, obviously, not long ago. But I think, especially in today's day and age, like I said, people, it's so important to be very attentive to know what, what's coming out of your mouth. Like, it's very easily to just say something and not think about like the repercussions. Like, and I'm shocked to see how many even celebrities or people that with high powers make this mistake because I'm like, you guys have to know. Like, you're in a position where you are under a microscope.
Right. Especially when you're in someone like that
even
that has
for
such
me,
an audience.
like, or people that maybe we're not at that level. I still feel under a microscope because you always like I'm a mentor to the next generation. Like, I'm trying to have them be better than we were. And, how do we get that? And that's kind of like, why would you put yourself in a bad situation where you can you can give to that? Yeah.
To that point too, even sometimes on this podcast, we'll be like, wow, I'm cursing too much. It's not hard to pull back words. Like, if you're about to say something, you could if you're about to say like, what up? You should be my friend. Like,
well, that's why you're like the easy answer, I think, to what you just asked is it under any circumstances acceptable for a white person to say that?
Yeah.
I think the easy answer is just no, because if you know that it's offensive to even one person out there in the world, then you just don't.
But that's when it comes back to kind of people thinking it's racist because they like, there's no way, you shouldn't know what this is. So when they say it, it's kind of like, wow, you're just throwing it around loosely.
Yeah. It's a respect thing.
And it's a respect thing. Like, it's just like an easy respect thing. We respect so many things. And I'm just like, if people were more attentive to just communicate it, just be like, look, like, let me think before I speak. Yeah. So much could be changed.
Yeah. I'm going to say that the classic comment, but you guys say it to yourselves. Why is that okay? Don't you always hear that? They say it to themselves, so that's the question.
So, like, for us, it's something as well that, like, how there's different, let me say, there's different variations of the word. Yeah. If you know what I mean. Yeah.
The hard R.
There's a hard R, the hard E, or just the A, like, you hear mostly everyone say. I feel like it's kind of, it shouldn't, I think we made a mistake personally.
Sure.
As a culture to accept that because we fell out of knowledge of what that actually.
But it was also your tribe. I mean, it was like these people understand me and where I'm coming from.
But I'm not afraid to say it because, like, I know that is we're not. No one is perfect. I know personally. I mean, not a lot. I can say not a lot of African Americans know truly what that word really means, especially now today's day and age. I mean, I know what the word means, and I try not to throw it around as loosely. And I've caught myself many times, and I'm like, yo, like, back off a bit because, it's a respect to yourself to, like, understand, look, that's kind of like just keep it off the books. Like, just don't even have that come through your mind because, like, you start saying it, you start using it around other people. Now it's become, like, a thing with, now it's become associated with, rural, urban kind of communities, the ghetto and stuff like that. It's kind of just that thing. Even in movies and TV shows and stuff, you hear it so much, like, just like, and it's kind of crazy that's become so normalized. And I think it's a mistake because we pushed it forward and we never took our time to be like, stop. And I really think that those people in our past, like the Martin Luther King Jr.'s and stuff like that, that really fought so hard for that, would be disappointed because, like, I think they fought I think we're personally going backwards, not even just as a culture, just like in general, because we continue to, like, we're like fish that just continue to try to catch that bait. Like, and we're just, in the bait now is social media. Every generation it's something new.
Yeah.
It also pisses me off. Everything you just said is absolutely 1,000% true. What also pisses me off though is like every interracial friendship or relationship I see in today's world, every interaction I see is great. You see this narrative on news and on social media of like racism in your face, and I feel like that deters from us, people having conversations like this, friendships.
Yeah.
Because your only take on it is racism, and that's all that's talked about is that division. And it's just aggravating to me because, like you said, in our eyes, on the media, we're taking steps backwards. But I feel like in real life, we're taking steps forward because no one really, like, I'll be honest, and I might be blind to it because I'm not black. I don't ever see racism in the real world. I'm talking about in front of me, like a white person being rude to a black person or judgmental or anything like that.
Yeah, it's definitely skewed from
our point of view, because I'm a white male. So
I've always wanted to ask, like, white people that's in a serious setting.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of what happened with, like, the George Floyd stuff? What do you think happened with the Ahmaud Arbery stuff? Like, when all of this was going down over like a 2-year period?
Yeah.
I want to know what was going through your mind, like when people were talking about, damn, like, it would be really cool for, like, white individuals really need to sit down and try to understand and really, like, culture themselves on, like, what has been going on and maybe try and see it. I mean, obviously you can't, you're not, like, in our shoes, but
sure,
if you could see it or try to understand it from a different point of view. Like, I kind of want to just, like, pick your brains on that, like, what.
You want to give your take?
Just
mine?
What's going through your mind?
I mean, dude, that was a really strange time, and like something that I don't have like a ton of opinion on, because I almost like intentionally, like I feel like it's almost not my space to have an opinion really. But obviously, I mean, just from a lot of, and I don't know a lot of the details of a lot of, like, I'm familiar with George Floyd. I don't know enough of the details of all of the scenarios to, give you, like, even my suggestion of a solution. But at the time, I think all I was hoping for, like, wanting in those scenarios was, like, transparency, even to just, like, so I could understand on a case-by-case basis what happened there. How did that end up happening? Whether that's, like, body cameras, if it's a police scenario, shit, like, I don't know. But just transparency, I think, is what we all need in order to be able to, like, I guess even form an opinion, and have an understanding of what actually went down or the situation. And then, I mean, things got really crazy when it, like, turned into riots, and then, what is it, Antifa? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Well, Antifa like, and the BLM movement.
Bricks were getting dropped off in cities, pallets of bricks, and they didn't know why. I mean, that sort of blew my mind a little bit, I don't understand any of that, I guess is what I'm saying. It's like, I don't really have much of an opinion on it, because it all sort of blows my mind a little bit that that's, like, even the world we live in.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, too. It's very hard as a white person to have an opinion on racism, because the other argument too is, well, you don't know racism, and you're right. So it's hard for us to have an opinion or even speak on an opinion, because the easy rebuttal is, well, you don't even know what it feels like to be not given something or pulled over or XYZ because of your skin. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So how do I have an opinion on it? That's the hard thing from a white person.
I was just going to say, I was going to say you do have an opinion on racism. You were just as a part of it as anybody else. Like, you are a part of it. You have your side of it.
Yeah.
Just same as we have our side of it. Same as anyone has their side. So no one can say that you don't know anything about racism. You don't know what racism is. You do. It's just you are seeing it from a different
perspective. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So, like, I mean, the reasons why I asked you these questions, because, like, even I was going to ask you, like, what you thought of, like, the riots at the Capitol. Yeah. Like, if those were black people. That was ridiculous. Yeah. If those were black people instead of white people. Like, I can be real?
Yeah.
Sure. I wanted to ask that because I seriously I mean, you got to think that's the U.S.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
If no one's ever like, I mean, back in 1860, back when like they burned down the White House back then, but that was Civil War. Yeah. This was the closest thing to that. Yeah. And for it to be for somebody, and I'm not knocking anybody, but like that I personally don't think that would have gone down the same way it did. Course. If it was the BLM movement there or something. Right.
So I'll give my take on your first question too. What happened in 2020 and 2021? I feel like was a lot of pent up anger, which is justified from the black community for a while. It was kind of a pent up anger of you guys have gotten fucking you've gotten all this shit and you've gone by and people have been let off trials and all this shit. I'm fed up with it. Yeah. I'm just tired and I'm fed up with it. So, to their defense, and that's absolutely right, sometimes you gotta punch a motherfucker in the face. So, like, obviously, the peaceful protests and all that shit is great, but you wanna get people's attention? Burn down a fucking church, and people will start fucking opening their eyes. I see that take on it, I do. In the end of the day, when you look at the riots, did it ever do anything besides just kill businesses? So, well, there's probably one take that says it did, and there's one take that says there didn't. We talk about BLM a lot more, so maybe it fucking did. You know, we talk about the respect among black people, and hey, don't punch them in the mouth because they're gonna start punching back. Yeah. You know, so that take isn't wrong. You know, there was the Malcolm X side and there was the Martin Luther King side. You know, Malcolm X was, I'm done with the peaceful protests, and Martin Luther King was, we have to do this over a shake of a hand. Yeah. So. In the end of the day, it's like, how much shit am I going to take before I just knock this motherfucker out?
But it's crazy that it got that bad that there had to be a split within our black community. Yeah. The fact that Martin Luther King and Malcolm X had to be on different sides, even though they were trying to accomplish the same goal, was kind of crazy because that we turned on. Like I feel like we turned on ourselves. Like so, it kind of made it more difficult. Instead of having one, like I said, one initiative, one push, you're gonna having multiple, and that creates issues because not everyone has a different viewpoint, and that's kind of where it all came from. So this confusion starts, and it's crazy to think that this shit we talk about. I mean, every day we talk about 1960s, 1950s, 1970s. Like that shit was not long ago.
Yeah, right.
It is crazy to think where we are now, and our parents were in that shit.
But don't you think that is? And this is like a positive take on it, working in the right direction? When you look at the macro of it.
You know what I'm saying? When you look at the macro of it, yes. When you really, really get down to like the true we just evolved to a different form. It's just a different form. It's a different form. I mean,
of racism.
It's just a different form.
Yeah.
We have social media. We have accesses to see so much. All that shit's been happening, all this, animosity with the cops, with African Americans. How long has that shit been going on? That shit's been going on since
forever.
Yeah. We're just seeing it.
Yeah.
That shit has been going on all of that shit with George Floyd. You know how many George Floyds there probably has been?
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about Emmett Till.
No.
All right, so Emmett Till, this is crazy. I like to coach you guys for Emmett Till is a 14-year-old African-American boy, Mississippi. This is back in the 20s. Found this little white girl. They were all chilling by the water, whatever. And, they were had a thing, whatever, liked each other. The girl went back, told her father that she met this cool kid, whatever like that. Found out that the kid was black. And this was in the Deep South. So 1920s, they, 14-year-old kid, without hesitation, just because they found out that he was hanging out with this girl, went to his house, went to where he was out, they kidnapped him, lynched him, drowned him, sent him to his mom. Mm-hmm. This is a story that has not been really spoken about. Yeah. And it's one of the core, things that I learned when I was small was that, this stuff has been really, 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 deep. And we don't really realize how, deep this shit really was, as a country. Everyone's hands, yes, our hands are, these hands are stained. This country is stained. From where Native Americans, back from whatever, this country is stained. Mm-hmm. And we can't
Do you think we could ever get over that?
We can't. I don't think we can't. We have to accept it. We have to. There can't be we cannot just let this continue to just go over our heads. Like, it has to be accepted. These things that now we have in documentaries with, like, a documentary with Emmett Till is coming out in a movie sense, so that people can actually learn the story during this month of Black History Month. And that's why it's just so important. Because you think about it still, and I try not to put limits on this, but, and this might not be serious, like, seem serious to anyone else, but, like, why do you think, we have, African American, we have Black History Month. Why did, and this might be, I was saying maybe this is petty, but why did they give us the shortest month of the year? Why is Juneteenth?
Yeah, now a thing.
Yeah. And Juneteenth was June 19th, back, like, that was when slaves were.
And this might be me being annoying, but now that it's a thing, isn't that a step in the right direction?
I think it's only a step in. Yes, it is.
Because it got pressed.
But
that pressure is making things at least recognized. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think because people can't do what they used to. People aren't allowed to get away with what they used to.
Correct.
So things are going to get pressed. Things are going to get passed, like, without people, like, and people don't hate it, but they have to do it. The judicial system, we all know, is fucked. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they have to, they have to let some things go so that they keep an even balance. Mm-hmm. I always thought that's why you see what's that scale? Triple beam. Shit. That shit always impressed me when I was younger, because I was like, man, I feel like this country's like that. We're weighing, like, the scales. Everything has to be, one time you'll get, some verdict that doesn't go your way. We'll have so many verdicts not go our way, and then we'll have one big verdict go our way. That was like the Marbury case, whatever, the George Floyd, whatever, like that. But before that, you had Trayvon Martin, you had all this shit like that. All these killings, all these church killings. Nothing was really happening. They went to jail, got maybe like 5-6 years, whatever, or they plead insanity. Go crazy. But if something happened to someone else, a different race, Black, African American, like that, how many of us are sent to jail for 20 years, 40 years that aren't even guilty, that are just innocent, but just because they were Black or just because they thought they looked like somebody, that was it. Like, I've seen so many of that shit lately, and people getting, like, released, African Americans getting released, Asians getting released, Latinos getting released, because after years of just, like, being in jail because police thought they were someone they weren't. Right. It's crazy. It's crazy to think. Yes, that is progression. Like you said, that is progression, but it hurts. It hurts to see, because it's like at the same time it feels like it's just
it's like, showing more shit. You're flipping more cards over.
That's what it kind of feels like. So that's kind of where I try to draw my line when I try to have this conversation about it, because I'm like, look, it just needs to be. We need to lay out just the cards. Yeah. We just need to lay out the cards. Communicate, like, as much as we preach having communication and communicating with people and being good communicators, I know that a lot of us aren't good communicators, and we just say that shit and we don't. Like, it can be, I'm not talking about, like, texting or calling or whatever like that, but just talking with people, just having conversations. We don't do it enough. And I'm glad that podcasts have become such a fucking big thing. Yeah. Because people are now having these fucking conversations. And
I was just going to say that I'm a very outgoing, talkative guy. I've never spoken to a Black man in my life the questions I'm asking you right now.
Yeah.
So
I love to be able to come on here. This is something I've wanted to do, because I've had so much just, like, thoughts of, like, certain things, but, like, especially from, like, a different race, a different culture, just, like, what are your thoughts? What is your psyche when it comes to that?
To answer those two questions real quick, what do I think about all these, police killings of these Black men and whatnot? I think that my thing would be probably 10% of cops are bad fucking eggs. People that just want to fuck people over, people that want to, just bad people. Yeah. Maybe it's a lesser number, maybe it's a more number. I don't know enough cops to give you that answer. Yeah. But they also don't show the video of the white cop playing in the Black neighborhood playing basketball.
I agree.
They don't show you. I agree. They don't show you the community help that cops do. When you see a cop, if I'm watching the news and I see something about a cop doing something bad, the first thing is a white person shot a Black guy. That's the fucked up thing about it. So what do you think our perception of cops are going to be? Then that's kind of full circle to the CRT thing. Is if you tell someone something enough. when it happens to them in the real world, they're gonna 100% believe it.
Yeah.
That cop that pulls you over in today's world, if you're a black person and it's a white person, could be literally the nicest human being in the world. But when you see them in your rear view and they get out of their cop car, the first thing you're saying is "fuck."
Yeah.
Your hands are on the windshield. You're tense. You know. And why is that? It's because we're being told this fucking thing every day.
And it's crazy to see that. It's crazy to see that because obviously I've put over from by cops before. I've seen like how that interaction is, and it's crazy to think like it's a thing that's ingrained in our culture, is that just like black people are just afraid of cops. Like it's just like a thing that's been a thing forever, and as much as we try to get over it, even though it might be the nicest cop in your rearview mirror, you see those lights, it's just like it's like a trigger. It's kind of like
fuck.
It's kind of like that. You don't know, like until you have that, until they come to until you have that conversation, you don't know what's gonna happen. So it's kind of like how did we get to that? Why did we get to that?
Is there anything you think that can be done to ever change that?
I mean, I just think, like I said, I understand. I completely agree with you in terms of like there is
you gotta show them the positive,
but there's a way to go about stuff. There's a way to go about things. There's a way to talk to people. There's a way to, especially as a police officer, there's a way to handle situations the right way.
Yeah.
There's so many. I used to watch what's called Live PD or like I used to watch those cop shows all the time because I would love the interactions that I seen some of them have when it could have been a worse situation if they would have acted different.
Right.
Like see people get pulled over for weed and stuff like that. And if the driver was like lying and shit like that and had a bad reaction, that could have gone sideways. But the driver was like, honest. Yeah, I got weed. The cop was like, dude, be honest with me. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
I'm cool, bro. Let's just have good energy. Bet. That's how the conversation went.
Yeah.
But that was a cop saying that, having that, like, letting him know, giving him that reassurance. Look, dude, we're cool. Like, I just, I noticed this, blah, blah, blah. You good? Like,
and that's also de-escalating the situation.
De-escalating the situation. There's too many that get over-escalated because they don't know they're not trained on how to handle a situation, how to calm somebody down, how to be good. Right. I mean, you see so many cops dealing with people that are suicidal, about to jump off of bridges. And you see that they're trained in that specifically. They're very good at talking to people. You can see that. And it does something to them. It makes cops different. I think when they get in certain situations, they handle certain things differently. But it needs to be like that across the board. You need to handle every situation in a delicate manner, especially in today's day age, how you talk to somebody. If you come, you just expect, you have to like think about other people. Expect that, this person might be nervous. Yeah. Don't automatically look, why are you nervous? Let me call like 3 or 4 more fucking cops. Right. That's what gets people. I'm like, oh, this person looks like they're sweating. Maybe they're fucking nervous. Because like you don't see a white person do like, if you see any other race, you go to the mirror. Everyone's just sweating, everyone's nervous. Like, they'll call like 3, 4. It makes no sense. I'm like, why are you escalating the situation? Right. Go and find out if they're okay, cool with it, and go. Now I have friends that are cops, and I'm like, we have this conversation all the time that are my age, and I'm like, look, I see how they know how to, like, they handle situations different because they grew up around, they grew up there around me, they know the energy, they know the vibe of the area and stuff. Older cops, they don't really understand that, and that's what they have the issues with. These new age cops, new generation cops, a lot of them are handling situations. When they get in trouble is when they're with somebody that is a lot older than them, with a superior.
I'm going to keep saying it. I think that's progress. That the new that's what. I guess what I'm saying is, Ryan, is we keep bringing up that it was shit. It still is shit, but
there's progress.
It's getting better. And we're still in the shit. Yeah. There still is a stain, but what I'm saying is that stain is dying out every time we wash it over.
So how in terms of, maybe percentage, where do you how far do you think we've really come? Because
I think from the 60s where it was 2 different water fountains, and now if you want to become the president of the United States, you can. Yeah. Pretty fucking far.
In terms of, if we're just talking about if we're just talking about racism, like if we're just talking about racism, how far do you truly think we've come? If you consider, look at what we did, like what happened in the past, but look at now what's going on, and kind of, it's just 2 different types of racism. But just look at it like, we didn't have church shootings back then in the day. We didn't have movie shootings and shit like that. Nothing. It wasn't crazy like that. Psychopaths just shooting people out of nowhere now. Yeah. Like and now we have that. We have there's more of a psychological mentality. Something's wrong mentally. Yeah. Today's day and age versus back then they knew.
Right.
Racists knew they were racist. People knew they were racist. They accepted they were racist. Now people that don't know that they're racist don't want to accept that they're racist, even though they are racist. So it's kind of you got to look at it like that. It's just a different. I'm not saying there has been progress. Don't get me wrong.
I get what you're saying.
But it's just a different form of it. Back, I mean, even way back, like there might have been racism, Christopher Columbus, all that. Like you don't like that. They might have treated people different. This is like killed you on the spot or like whatever. No one cared. Like there's always been different forms of racism throughout history. It's just been different scenarios, different people getting affected. Every different culture has experienced some form of racism.
So going back to something that you said earlier when we were talking about like CRT in schools and stuff, and a point that I really liked that you made at the time was that you think that conversation should be had at home rather than in the classroom.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of thinking about it too, and a point that you just made also is like, you know, black kids are raised just kind of being afraid of the cops because it's in your culture. It's what you've always like been told. Mm-hmm. The thing I guess that concerns me about that conversation being had at home and not in the schools is there's no one controlling what the dialogue of that conversation is.
No, agreed.
So it could be like, yeah, you know, the cops fucked me over. Dad talking to his son, you know, and saying, fuck the cops. We hate the cops around here.
But I'm saying an honest conversation in terms of like, look, if a parent's like a child is not born a racist.
Yeah.
A child is not born bad. I don't think personally born bad. This stuff is taught.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This stuff is what you see on your
But do you think all that teaching is at home? It's some at school.
No. Yeah. Some of it is at school. And some I mean, I just saw like literally a month ago, which is crazy in New York. There was like a third grade teacher filed like a complaint with the school because the fucking homework that they had like racist lingo in it. Like in today's day and age, it was like saying this Mexican girl is like she's poor, and then the next line was like, oh, this white kid he's rich, and it said it on the line for third grade year olds, and they had to just write in the blanks like, oh, is he good or bad? Like,
wow,
it was crazy to see this only a month ago. I was like, but that's what's happened. Like, you know, that's the part of the school that I don't. Like people are still.
I think the back to like the CRT conversation. I think it might be a good thing for those conversations to be had in school. I think maybe we just need to kind of revisit the curriculum and the dialogue of like how that conversation's being had.
I just think it's too. I just think it's too. No one's gonna have it because it's too crazy. Yeah. Like our history is like I can't even fathom how crazy, and I'm not even talking about slavery. Yeah. Our history in general is fucked.
Yeah.
Like I in terms of what people experience, what people went through.
Maybe the way you do this though is Royal Palm Beach High School brings back someone like you to stand in front of the kids, 9th graders, and say, hey, I get it. You're a black 15-year-old, you feel like you get picked on, or you feel like you're the minority, or you feel like it's not enough, right? I'm a 25-year-old kid. I work for the 4th largest company in the United States. I have made all my dreams come true. I am standing in front of you saying racism is real. It's going to be out there. But I'm also standing in front of you saying anything you fucking want in this world, you could have.
Yeah.
And that's showing them history. Yeah. It's also showing them firsthand that they could achieve it.
No, agreed.
I think when you just show someone the pessimistic and the downbeating side, if you tell them long enough, that's only what they're gonna believe.
But that's them seeing it. I think that's them seeing it. That's not them being taught because they're not. That's not a teacher. I think when you have like mentors, you have like people come in that can talk to them about that, sit them in a gym and talk to them physically about that, and actually have a one-on-one and have them listen. That's different than a classroom. A classroom, I don't think a teacher gets that through to you. I think that's someone that's actually care, like not that they don't care, but like truly.
It's not someone that they're looking as a mentor. You know? If you bring someone into the auditorium,
and it's a different way about it. Right?
I had this. I did like so last Friday. I went back to my high school. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They asked me to do a Black Aviators series as part of like Black History Month, where I go back and I talk to the kids now in the program that I pretty much started like when we were back in 2010, and see where they're going. Like, you know, what are their dreams? Like, what are their aspirations? Like, what are they having issues with? What can I help them, and tell them what I do and how I came from here to there and how they can get from here to there.
Wow.
And I had this conversation with them. And it was so incredibly humbling because I've never done that before. I've always wanted to, but I've never done it. It was humbling to be able to stand in front of them, do a presentation where like I'm talking about, you know, this is what I do, and seeing like their reactions. This is like how I get from where you guys are right now to where like I have kids there that want to be pilots, kids that want to be robotics people that want to go to NASA. I'm like, yo,
that's sick.
I did like I was at that spot. Like I was literally where you. I remember being where you were, and it's crazy that I'm having this conversation because I was the kid in their position that was thinking about that. Like, look, I want to be like where that person is, like having a conversation with these kids. And it's cool to be able to do that, like give back in that kind of way. But I had that conversation with a couple of them because I'm just like, you got to understand that, like, you know, it's not going to be a smooth ride. Like, you know, I didn't know what I was doing in high school. Like, I had an inkling of like, okay, I'm going to like, you know, be in this field. But I didn't know specifically what I wanted to do until like the end of college, really. It's okay. I'm like, it's okay to be uncertain. That's life. It's okay to be uncertain.
Right.
There's no reason to feel like you need to have everything on your plate. Nothing. Like, because that's just causing unnecessary stress. It's causing negativity to creep in your mind. Like, yo, can I do this now or doubt myself? No.
Yep.
Like, take one day at a time. Focus on what you need to focus on. And get that shit done. Yep. And like you will reap the benefit of that at the end of the day. And I'm like, I am living proof to do this. Yeah. Like you can do this. You're falling. They're better than me. They're doing classes I was doing in sophomore year of college. They're doing that in high school.
That's sick, yeah.
I'm like you. I was only flying planes when I was there. They're doing like robotics and they're doing like the software integration and stuff that I was doing in college. I'm like, you guys are so ahead of me. Like that's what I want to see. Like I want to see you guys pass me. I want to see you guys just destroy me.
You know where I was so blessed in the fact that, like, and this is what I'm saying, is you have to have real world situations to break down the barriers of racism in my mind. I shared a locker room at Dwyer High School football team with 50% black kids. And these were some very low poverty areas, Tamarind Ave and West Palm. I mean, very being brought up in not a way, so completely different than me.
Yeah.
I met some of the nicest, most intelligent, well-spoken. Man, we would bump to Chief Keef after the games, but we would also talk about life and ambitions, and we would hang out with. That was the first time I ever hung out with black kids outside of school, and we would drink with them and party with them. I loved when they showed up to the high school parties and whatnot, and it was just like I didn't see them for anything but just my teammates and my friends, you know. And but I think when you teach someone in a fucking book, that's not going to break down walls. I think you need to show them and have classes. Man, you think it sounds racist, but promise me, have classes that intertwine races, right? Yeah. Or do more areas where, I know this is crazy, but you integrate school districts, right? So you have Jupiter High School, which is 95% white rich kids, and you have Dwyer High School, which is, I mean, and again, it's based on area, but integrate those lives, you know?
I agree. And that's why, I mean, it's crazy to think, like, you're just like, there's that crazy gap even in, like, high school and stuff like that you have, like, you know, Jupiter Christian, Jupiter, you know, those are white, and then you can go somewhere and go to, like, Lake Worth or go to, like, you know, like any of those, and, you know, it's just straight Latino or straight black, and you're like, how are these not, you know, connecting? But that's when you have to be willing to, you know, accept that, okay, that's fine. Let's get, like you said, these people together to kind of just experience being around each other, because now, you know, the people that are getting, like, that are growing up in this generation, like our age and stuff like that, really truly, I think, understand a level of, like, love and trust in terms of, like, they do not care who, like, if my best friend is black and my best friend's Asian, or my best friend's, like, you know, Latino, whatever. Like, it's progress. Progress. It's energy.
I'm telling you, man.
It's energy, but it's energy as well, and that's something that I don't think people really fully grasped before, was just, like, how you can really just walk into a room and just feed off of somebody's vibe. Like, you could tell whether I'm going to be cool with that person or not. Like, they're giving me a weird vibe. And I'm not a person that likes to accuse people or anything or make assumptions or anything like that. I just feel your energy. I'm just like, if your energy's off, then I'm just like, okay, cool, but I just won't see you again, whatever like that. If I know your energy, I'm like, bro, we're cool. Like, you know, we're vibing. So it's kind of like people in today's day and age especially are just understanding, I think, and like what true energy, what it really truly means to, like, appreciate somebody for just what they are. Like, who cares what they do? I don't care if you make this amount of money or this amount of money. Like, we're chilling. Like, it's gonna be the same thing. Like, I can hang out with a whole bunch of Latinos. I grew up around a whole bunch of Latinos playing soccer and stuff like that. Family. I have some of them still I don't see forever, and I catch up with them, and it's like we never left. And it's family, and it's cool that you had that experience, because that's different to you being able to experience, you know, what it's like being around that kind of culture. What it's like just experience coming home and seeing someone's mama, like just like being cool. She's giving you a hug, just like being, you want some food, like you want some, like, just it's good it's healthy for you to experience other.
Correct.
You know.
I got my hair cut the last 6 months of high school off of Tamarind Ave from a black teammate's dad who owned a barbershop.
Courtney's dad?
Courtney's dad.
Hey.
I mean, and the last thing I'll say on the progress thing is whenever I say progress.
What was your haircut order?
I just said, I didn't say
for
chop
real.
me up.
It's like a number
Fade,
4.
Yeah, fade.
Nice.
A number 4.
Yeah.
Give me the high intent.
Whenever I say progress, I'm not undermining the fact that we still have extremely hard issues in real world things. What I am trying to say is what's not pushed a lot in today's society is positive. It's never positive, actually. You'll never see a good race story. You'll never see a good interracial friendship. So what I am saying is if you do look at the macro, like I'm trying to show now, there is progress being made, especially in our generation as millennials and Gen Z coming up behind us. Yeah. But I'm not undermining the fact that there's still
it's okay to understand.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that we do have progress, but it is just as important to realize how much what has happened and what we still have.
Correct.
Still here.
Absolutely.
But just to say that with knowing, you know, there's too many people that say that without knowing.
Yeah.
So it's good that just to understand. I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah. The last question I want to talk about on race is if you have a 5-year-old son right now and you're standing in front of him, what are you telling him about being a black man in America?
I think, honestly, I'm telling him that, you know, first, I mean, probably earlier than that, but just what was like to understand that, look at your hands, look at you. Like, you know, accept that, you know, we are African American. Like, we're in America. We're in, the land of the free, the home of the brave. We still have blessings upon blessings compared to the rest of the world. But you need to know that when you are walking around in everyday life, you know, vigilance is key. Understanding is key. You know, you have to know, you know, that there's other races, there's other colors, there's other, you know, like I said, minorities, there's other groups that maybe will not understand you because, you know, they're not black.
Yeah.
But you have to have that mentality as well that they don't understand you. Yeah. Because they're whatever race.
Yeah.
You have to find a will in your heart to understand everybody, to be easy to forgive. Yeah. Because that's something that you can't teach, really. Yeah. You know, being able to, you know, understand really what's going on, but just, you know, move at it at your pace. Don't rush into anything. Understand that, you know, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. I am here in this present moment. I've seen what was. I've seen what can be. I have to go and just take it. So that's kind of, it's a hard conversation, really, but that's kind of the conversation that you have to have. There's no, you know, really easy way to tell somebody about race, to tell somebody about, you know, who you are as an African American, who you are as a white person, who you are as a Latino, Asian, whatever it may be. You just have to know that your culture is your culture for a reason. Your culture is your tribe. Your culture is where your respect, where all your loyalty, where all your, you know, vibes come from. And understand that, cherish it, really know your roots. Like, know your history, like, know your ancestry, know, like, what is going on. But try to figure out, try to learn, you know, try to learn white people, try to learn Asian people, try to learn what, you know, what history they have, like what history we have with them, what, like, you know, the intricacies of that. That kind of is really what will get somebody to be smarter and more knowledgeable on another level, is really opening your mind to, like, what, you know, you can. Like, your brain, like I said, we only use, like, 5%. A fraction of our, like, we can take in so much. We just need to open our minds to it.
So to that point, too, I guess, just to piggyback off what you just said, if you're having that conversation with your son, do you also tell him, like, the Emmett Till story? And
I think that's more like maybe a little bit later down the line. In terms of when I tell them anything regarding race is kind of just understanding your roots, understanding that slavery was a thing, understanding, you know, like, that's just, so you just understand black culture. Yeah. When it comes to the stories, when it comes to the specific stories and the gruesome nature of those stories maybe a little bit, you know, because they won't understand that.
Sure.
At 5, I don't think.
But because you also see it maybe like put in, because it's not like, I mean, I guess I got to say that with a grain of salt, but that's not necessarily in the literal sense, like still happening, you know? Interracial couples are totally acceptable to most of the population. I'm sure there's still stupid racist people out there that would have an issue. But for the most part, you can date whoever you want these days.
Yeah.
So would you ever consider like maybe that's putting like a thought into your kid's head that they might be better off not having, you know?
And
so they don't go into a relationship with any prejudice?
Conversation with my sisters because they were talking about an issue with dating somebody that was of a different race, because even though they had nothing, they personally didn't feel nothing wrong.
Right.
There's something about introducing your family.
Right.
Something that there's some different kind of reaction than being like that race, and it's like an unspoken thing that you really don't, unless you know the father just hates you or whatever, like the mother hates you. But it's kind of like an unspoken thing. It's kind of like why would you want to risk that when you could just date somebody of your own race? I've been asking that my whole life. I've never dated a black girl.
Really?
Never.
And how's that reaction when you meet a white family?
Great.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very...
That's what I'm saying. You know,
I grew up in a very diverse... I try to put myself around a very diverse group. I grew up in a Christian school, grew up around a lot of white people, but then some black people, some Spanish people, some Asian people started popping around, very diverse, and then that's where I met all these people and started branching off like that. But I dated... First girl I dated was white and Venezuelan. Second girl I dated was Cuban, Asian... never dated a black girl, and it's not that I didn't want to date a black girl. For some reason I just never was not on my I don't know. I just never.
Not how it worked out.
Yeah, and my family has always been like, oh, why are you not dating and not
but
like
that's
badly,
a conversation
not
that they
not
have
like
said.
badly, not like bad. Yeah, not like oh my god they're mad at me because I have family. I have uncles that have dated, I've been married to white women. I have family that my family tree has very much diverse in it, and now I'm like, I'm okay with it. I don't mind it. But I'm like, as I get older, I kind of am understanding now how it is affecting certain people or whatever. But they don't care. It's kind of like, it's just like weird now to see still in a family sense.
It's a good uncomfortable change in the fact that we've never had a black man in his family, but now we do. So fuck it. Let's see what it's like.
And then think about 4 generations from then. It'll just be normal. It won't even be a conversation about why aren't you dating so and so?
That's what I'm saying. This shit takes time. When you talk about how recent it was 1 generation ago when you had to do it. Yeah. Look at the progress where we made it in 1 generation. You just said that you've dated majority, not majority, all have not been your race. Yeah. And you've gotten a good reaction. Yeah. Let's talk about that,
But, I mean, that's also one. There's
one
probably
case.
Scenarios where you go to the house and it's like,
who the fuck
not
is
a
that?
good reaction.
And I did, it wasn't perfect. I did have that reaction because, one of my first ever my girlfriend, her father's white, mom was Venezuelan. Yeah. So, it was... I definitely felt some animosity towards the dad's point of view. Yeah. The moms love me.
Yeah.
I love moms.
You're an easy guy to love.
I grew up with a house full of women. Yeah. So it's very easy for me to be comfortable around women and whatever. So that I've never had an issue with moms, grandmas, stuff like that. I've never really had an issue with dads either, but that scenario was interesting dealing with my first white dad.
You felt some tension?
In terms of that because she knew. Mm-hmm. She knew and she kind of addressed it first before our first date, before I first went to pick her up and take her to the movies or whatever. It was just I'll have you home by that first awkward situation. I'll have her home 30 minutes earlier just to make them feel calm. Yeah. But it's interesting experiencing that, and then once you get to other relationships you kind of okay, kind of gauge it off of that or whatever. You still have your sense of respect, but it's just funny now to see how that is. If you conduct yourself in a certain way, then it won't be bad. Sure. You can gain that trust.
And honestly, that's how it should be, right? We shouldn't be looking at skin color. It should just be how you carry yourself. You respect me, I respect you. Yeah.
And also, when you bring someone in the family that you're dating, you're just judging them the first 3 times you meet them. Judging them hard. You know what I'm saying? They're on a fucking microphone.
And to be fair, with a dad, you're against
anything.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
But it's understandable to an extent because I know there's dads that are just this is my baby.
This is my baby.
You cannot So I understand that, and especially as having sisters, I understand that, and being the youngest, I understand that. So But that's just natural. Like you have to understand that. Like again, you have to coach yourself. Like it just has to be you understanding this going in. Right. Like, look, I'm not meeting like a black dad. I'm not meeting like I'm meeting someone else's dad, someone else's coach's dad. Mm-hmm. I have to respect and kind of understand their customs, culture, whatever it may be. Yeah. It could be different if we were meeting someone's Indian, like a girl's Indian father or Indian family, and like maybe having a day there and eating there for the first time. Do you know like the customs in India? Do you know like they don't eat with forks and foods because that they eat with their hands, and that's kind of like understanding, kind of like culturing yourself on certain things like that. Sure. Is kind of makes you more likable to like the family absolutely. And stuff because that shows that you care.
You got an appreciation. Yeah.
You know, so like it's simple things like that. But so many people are just like, oh, I'm just gonna learn. I'm like, dude, like I guess if you good luck with that.
Shows how much you care.
It shows how much you care.
Yeah. So. You talk about energy a lot. Are you like a law of attraction guy by any chance? Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I just go with. I am very much believe in the law of attraction, but at the same time, I've experienced so many different like forms of, love and like attractions and relationships and stuff like that. It's kind of just like, at this point, I just go with.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any sort of like I don't know, like morning routine or habits or like rituals or anything? You like meditate or journal or anything like that?
Well, so I'm a big music person. Okay. Huge. Like it's in my family. I mean, I played instruments growing up, so like that. So for me, in the morning I have to have like some kind of like soothing, like chill, like music, like just to start my day vibe. Yeah. And just
what you rocking to lately?
Dude, a lot of R&B.
Yeah?
Old school R&B. Okay. Like, just like I'm a big person for like beats and like understanding like really like the intricacy, like because I'm a big person for notes. Like I used to read music like crazy, and like I was really into understanding like how a beat, not even like the lyrics itself, a beat could make you feel some kind of emotion. Wow. Like you hear some beat and you feel some kind of way. Sure. You feel either hyped or sad or whatever, and it's crazy. And with hip hop or with R&B especially, you hit all of that because you hit emotions of sadness, you hit emotions of happiness, you hit everything, and it's kind of like that's kind of how my life kind of is. Like it's very positive, but at the same time, it could like hit those, it bounces off the walls, and it's hitting everything. Like it's well rounded. Let's just say. Yeah. So like that's
you single?
Right now, yeah.
You player?
Huh?
You player?
I wouldn't consider myself a player.
No? Because I tell you
it's kind of crazy because...
And I only say that because you have that, like, charming personality, I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of... It's cool to have this conversation because I've never had this conversation. It's kind of... Like I said, I grew up with females. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of females, and it's kind of like a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. Because at times it could keep you from...
Meeting new ones.
But at the same time, like... It's very easy to meet new ones because, like, I can have a conversation like this with a girl off rip and be confident and be comfortable, and she'll be comfortable in 2 seconds. Like, and I have nothing, and it's nothing like me not even hitting on her.
Yeah, it's like boom, you're
just
naked.
An energy, it's just an energy.
Boom, you're having sex.
It's just an energy around it, and it's kind of like it's crazy because like I've been single now for like I say like a year, and I've loved it because like. I've really grown, I feel like, like just like knowing and understanding, especially in West Palm. I don't even have to explain how West Palm is. Yeah. So just understanding and being also in different areas of the world, experiencing females over there. Yeah. I lived in Europe for 5 years. So being over there, like I, night and day. Females like here versus females there. Yeah. Like the way they hold themselves, the way they dress, the way they
you like it better there or here?
There.
Really?
Easily.
Wow.
Easily. I'm a big person in like history, culture, respect. It's massive over there.
Really?
Yes. Culture, everything. Like, I lived in London. I have family in London, in northern London. Huge Indian culture. Huge.
Really?
Huge Indian population in London. Massive. Because that's what a lot of Indians moved from India that moved to London. Throughout, like Saudi Arabians, whatever, like that. Huge in London. So like it's kind of crazy. Like fashion is a huge thing. Like sports is a big thing. But people hold themselves to a different standard. And so you won't see a girl in like short shorts, booty shorts, and a crop top at the mall in London. Like, you won't. You'll see a nice girl wearing some Versace heels, like freaking nice, like jeans, dude, like sexy. Like and it's like that's the kind of shit that attracts me because I'm like, look, I was seeing that shit when I was fucking 15, 16. So now, like, I'm like, that's what girls, and I know, and I've met girls over there and stuff like that now, and I know how they dress, and I'm like, they've come here before, and they've been like, yo, this shit is crazy. Yeah. Like, they go to the club, and she's wearing, like, this dope, like, poofy jacket, like, nice shit, and she sees girls just in, like, you know, slippers and whatever at the clubs here, and I'm like, yeah, it's not the same.
$20 bodysuit.
It's just different. Like, it just holds yourself to different standards. So, like, for me, I don't put anyone on any pedestal. I don't have, like, really, I'm not really a nitpicky person. I just don't think I found someone that matches kind of, like, the vibe of understanding that I have. Like,
you looking for a relationship?
I'm not actively looking. I don't chase.
Yeah, nice.
I don't. I don't chase. I never. It's just, I let the energy and the vibe just kind of carry it, and it's kind of carried it pretty well. I've never had a Tinder. I've never had any of those dating apps.
Will you shoot your shot at the bar? You see someone cute? How do you shoot your shot?
I feel like I don't like shoot my I don't go up to like a girl at the bar usually. Like honestly, like
I've never gone up to a random girl at the bar.
No, it's kind of
there was that one old lady in the cat costume.
Yeah,
it's kind of like I go up to the bar. Like it's kind of going to the bar if I'm ever by myself or with other people and there's someone around and stuff like that. And like, you know the bartenders. It's kind of easy to lean into a conversation like, hey, you talk or whatever like that. But I've never gone up to a girl and be like, hey, like yo, let me holler at you. Like never been like that. I've had girls come up to me.
Yeah.
I've had on some weird, like, damn, like you look nice tonight, or like some shit like that.
I like
and
your energy.
And my energy just sparks a conversation because they're like, damn, I feel comfortable, like, which is crazy. Yeah. And it's kind of like that. It's kind of like now how I'm living it. And it'll come when it comes. Like, I'm 25. I'm not rushing
no
it.
Rush,
But you know what pisses me off? When girls ask you what your sign is.
Oh, that's all fake. That's all bullshit.
No. But is it though? Because
I don't know, dude. I don't know if it's bullshit or not.
No, I trust me.
Don't get me down.
Trust
this
me.
fucking
Chuck, I'm on that road.
Nick hates conversations like this. Let's do it.
I hate this conversation because look, I'm an April Fool's baby. I'm an April 1st. I'm an Aries. I know. I just started.
Yeah. What's the sign?
I'm an Aries. I just started even understanding what was going on with
what
signs.
moon?
But yeah, like I don't even fucking know. Like I just know I'm an Aries. Like I literally
full moon.
Like full moon, Venus, sun rising, whatever. Yeah. But like. I was always shocked when girls would ask me this question because I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, right.
Like, what does that have to do with me having a conversation with you? Like,
so you think it's sexy if a girl goes, "Oh, you're Aries"?
No.
So
what if she loves Aries?
Because
what if she's like, oh,
yeah, well,
Aries.
Okay, cool. Like that, whatever.
Still not phased.
Well, my thing is, if a girl asks me my sign, she definitely has a tapestry up in her wall.
No, she. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which is
she has the mixing bowls at home.
It automatically tells me she's very like organized. She's very like she knows what she wants.
Yeah, and spiritual girls are the freaks too.
They are the freaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked up some freaks in college that were like very into the horoscope thing, and that's cool, whatever. Like it's crazy to read your horoscope sometimes and realize that look, that shit's
sometimes it's on point. But
it's weird. It's weird, but at the same time, I don't believe it in terms of because a lot of people think that Aries are like assholes and Aries are like weird in that sense. I've never been an asshole like that in my life. I'm kind of like I'm a very positive person, so when people meet me and I tell them they're Aries. They're like, what the fuck? They're like, what the fuck? Like,
here's my thing. If you sit down next to a cute girl and you have a great hour conversation with her at the bar and you're hitting it off, if she, before you leaves, goes, hey, just question, like, are you an Aries? I think that's a little better than within the first, like, sentence of talking to someone. Are you an Aries?
Because that's
they're, like, prejudging when they ask in the beginning. It's like, are we going to be compatible?
No, but that's something that's understandable for the end because you've already then had a conversation.
At the end, if you want to guess.
You can kind of be like, you seem like... In Aries, you seem
well. Here's the reason why I know it doesn't work for me. Mine's like a quiet introvert, intellectual. That is not me. You know, so at least for me it doesn't work. I'm also like on the cusp of two, so I think that's a superpower. I'm a Leo and a Tardies.
Taurus.
I've tattooed a lot of signs. I just don't know what any of them mean.
Yeah,
it's a very common tattoo.
Fair enough.
But that's a good way to like pick up. Maybe I don't know. It's
crazy because I'm very into like astrology and like space and understanding like stars and just the universe.
There's a huge difference between like stars and like.
I know, but people
they think it's the same.
But people associate because people don't really know. Like they associate that kind of stuff together. But I'm just like,
but they're not the same.
But they're not the same. And I'm just like, look, I can get along. I literally probably know a girl that was born every single month. That, and I get along.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, it's kind of like if you're an asshole, you're gonna be an asshole. You'll probably attract an asshole. But you don't think you're an asshole.
Sure.
You just think, but you're going your way, like, being mean to people, being rude. Yeah. It's crazy because, still to this day, like, you might have like a girl leave you on red or some shit like that or whatever, and then like literally 2 days later they'll be like, yo. Like,
I'm in love
how
with
you doing, babe?
Can
we go hang out? Can we go do something? But then as soon as like you message, it's like you can't have communication, like solid, honest communication with them. Yeah. Like, I remember the days I couldn't, like, you just on a road to somebody's house to go find out if they were home.
Yeah, right.
Text them to just be like, yo, what's good?
Call the house
what's
phone.
going on? Or you FaceTime you shit.
Yeah.
So like it's different for me. Like I said, I'm old school. Yeah. So I appreciate the conversations one-on-one in person instead of having them over text message. But if I have to, at least let me like just communicate.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole astrology thing is very like cultish. Like at one point they didn't believe and then they got bit by the bug and now it's like, oh my God, what you're asking.
When did that become like a big thing? Like,
dude, I don't know. The Free the Nipple movement.
Free the Nipple. Yo, that might have been back. Yeah, shit. Because all those came around the same time. But like, I just remember being in college and girls would ask me that, and it was like, yo, don't ask me that question. Like, it's just like,
what, Free the Nipple?
No, ask me that. But like, don't ask me like about like that astrology stuff because I'm just gonna tell you that like, okay, I'm an Aries, whatever. That's it. Like, that's all I know. Like, I just tell me I'm a good person. Like, do you want to find out about me or not? Like, like you can either find out about my vibe or you can just ask me a question with like not. Like,
or you say it's classified.
Or I can say it's classified.
This is gonna piss you off probably even more.
Okay. So,
me and JoJo were at Urban Outfitters the other day, and you know how they have like a lot of like odd just like things there? You ever been to Urban Outfitters?
Urban Outfitters fire.
It's a cool spot. So they had like this bookshelf with all these like weird books. I think one of them had like boobs in it or something, which is why I started looking at the
Playboy book or something?
Some shit like that. Yeah. But then there was one that was called Colorology. And it was basically like the front of it was a big color wheel, and then the contents of the book was basically like a horoscope.
Okay.
For every single day of the year. Okay. So you'd scroll to whenever your birthday is. And on that day, it would tell you the color that is associated with your birthday.
Fuck me.
That's kind of crazy.
Mine is bok choy.
Oh, bok choy.
In case you were curious.
Is that like
did you know that was a color? Because I didn't.
Is it green?
It sounds like an Asian dish.
Is it green? Bok choy is Asian. It's like lettuce or like something like that.
Bok choy is a restaurant over here.
No, bok choy is like a cabbage.
It's a dark green.
That you use like at like a hibachi spot or whatever.
Okay, good. That's why it sounded familiar.
It's green though. Like it's like a leaf or something.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my color is green and it's bok choy.
That's hilarious.
The description was like pretty on point, but also pretty vague.
Yeah.
But I looked at JoJo's because it was her birthday that day. So I was like, oh, let's like see what the fuck yours is. And it had compatible dates, like underneath. It's like dates that you would be compatible with, sort of like signs. September 29th was her compatible date. My birthday is September 28th.
That's kind of
I thought that was pretty fucking weird.
What?
That is crazy. Like I said, there is instances where like it's really like
it could
weird.
Be a fluke, but it was
It could be a fluke, but like that's why like it's hard to really gauge that. You either like just believe it or you don't. Like you just,
it was weird
because you're with her, so it's like what the fuck, like But if you weren't, like, would it be like
you and Josie just be believing shit though, like the back in COVID,
if
the
you can't
taste in
prove
COVID.
me wrong, I'm gonna choose.
I mean, I think I had COVID. Like for 3 days, 3 days, I had no like sense of smell, but like I didn't get tested for it. This is like 2 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Rogan bags. All right, guys, that was an amazing episode.
Really appreciate it.
That was great.
On the whole race thing, guys, I encourage you all to go out and have these conversations in the real world. They're uncomfortable.
Respectfully.
They're hard to navigate. You have to be understanding of the person you're talking to, but have them because that's the one area for growth that you could definitely have in your life. We all need more of it.
Yeah.
Also, like, gauge the room a little bit too, you know. Like, we spoke about this prior.
I'm not having this conversation drunk at a bar with him.
No, definitely. Yeah,
if it's going in the wrong direction, you cut the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But not, like I said, like it's definitely it's something that needs to be had, and we kind of like piggyback off of it because, like you said, you had this like kind of mini conversation before we even started, and I was okay with it because like you kind of like at least you asked about it, but I respect that and definitely thank you for that. But it was something that was definitely going to happen regardless because like it needs to. It's just too important not to, and the fact that we can have this conversation on this platform and do this is pretty dope. So appreciate it.
I have a lot of respect for you being comfortable coming on here and talking about it the way you did, and I think you articulated yourself really well and made a lot of great points.
Thanks, man.
You're a very wise young adult, man. and you're gonna kill it in the world. I know that. But yes, guys, continue to have these tough conversations. I do think we are progressing. I think we have a lot of fucking work to do. I think us having these conversations is going to build on that work, though.
It helps us with understanding. That's
exactly.
what it all came back to.
Empathy and understanding.
The end goal is to understand each other. That's the only way out.
If you guys have any questions or concerns, please let us know. Hit up Ryan for if you ever want to have these conversations with him as well. He's a fucking awesome guy. You'll see him at 1, 2, 3, or 4 at the weekends.
Yeah, definitely.
He busted down there, and
you can have these conversations anytime. I'm an open book, man. So just
That is Ryan Bazil, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Thanks.
Good shit, man. That's fine.
Dude, thanks you guys, man. I really appreciate it, bro. That was awesome, man.
Yeah. Pour juice inside a soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah. Sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit cute and like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Rather flip a boat, nigga, I still serve a zip. I remember being broken, I was down bad on my dick. And she used to call me ugly, now let shawty let me hit. Wait, well maybe it's just bully, got a nigga confident. Remember all them dreams that I had when I was legit. They're like, yeah, I love the streets, but I'm still gon' go legit. Cause you know I need that German with that brand new fucking tip. Fell in love with them foreigns, watching a nigga Euro step. Got me feeling like I'm hardened, cause I'm plugged in with the ref. Like if you touch me wrong, you might get hit with this tech. Let them birds fly like a nigga causing rest. And I swear they broke my heart when I seen them. But that shit, it made me strong, now I'm right back on my best. Like bitches, leave me alone, why I get linked on this tech. Like little bitches, leave me alone, unless you gonna drop that neck. Like little bitches, leave me alone, unless you talking about a check. Pour juice inside the soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah, sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Pour juice inside the soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah, sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Yeah.